Follow the Leader features dynamic women entrepreneurs in their journeys to becoming a success in business. This podcast is an inspirational space for entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, and thought leaders as they share their keys to success. I am Chanel Christoph Davis, the CEO and founding partner of the largest woman and minority-owned sales tax advisory practice in the country, Davis & Harmon, LLC. Welcome to Follow the Leader podcast show. Today we have on the show our guest leader, Gina Charbonnet. She is a powerful creator, very creative. She's a producer and an amplifier of diverse voices with a tenure spanning over 2 decades, working in entertainment and production. Charbonnet is the founder and principal of GeChar, an established agency that is a premier resource in multimedia production, specializing in empowering content and talent acquisition. She is the executive producer of My Belle, My Beauty, which made its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, winning the 2021 Audience Award. Congratulations, that is fabulous.
Thank you.
Charbonnet has an esteemed assembly of credits in feature films and documentaries, including Eve's Bayou, that she accredits with kickstarting her production career. Charbonnet has been tapped for her expertise by a host of top companies and organizations with international recognition, including Watermark Conferences for Women, Prospect New Orleans, Essence, Black Girls Rock, BET, and Converse, just to name a few. Utilizing impact branding, experiential marketing, creative producing, and relationships in the arts and entertainment industry, Charbonnet has a proven track record of success as an accomplished creative consultant and producer. She has consistently procured and managed relationships with a roster of A-list industry leaders, politicians, and influencers, ranging from Oprah Winfrey to Hillary Rodham Clinton to Ava DuVernay and Rosario Dawson. Charbonnet's professional achievements is marked by a long-standing relationship with Essence Festival, where Gina and GeChar served as executive producers of the festival's empowerment programming from 2003 to 2019. Her knowledge extends to academia and philanthropy, having served as a communications lecturer at the University of Southern Mississippi and an instructor at Xavier University in their art department, which is fabulous, where she taught nonprofit management courses through the arts. She co-founded a beautiful foundation, a New Orleans nonprofit for teenage girls of color, and is developing the GeChar Foundation, dedicated to promoting social change through arts, education, and entertainment initiatives. Charbonnet earned a MA in Arts Administration from the University of New Orleans. We both attended UNO, so that's another connection. She has a BA in journalism from Southern University and a minor in communications and film studies from the University of New Orleans. And you have attended NYU's Producers Intensive, and you graduated from Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, which is a gem for both of us in our professional entrepreneurial careers, and the University of New Orleans Urban Studies Community Development Finance Program. Welcome to the show, Gina Charbonnet.
Thank you. That's a long bio.
It was so good, though.
Thank you.
I had to take time with it. I had to roll it out and let everybody understand who's on the show. You know, you are a true leader in your industry and arts and entertainment and production. I mean, you have done so much. So bravo. First of all, bravo.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a long career, but I feel like it's just getting started, really. But yeah, it's been a long, winding one through a lot of different phases to me of production. So yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You collected so many gems along the way to the point where you are actually a Sundance Film Festival winner during a pandemic, no less. So, you know, just to say that, you know, the pandemic can slow you down and you're producing films. You're just like, you know, pandemic, schmandemic, you know, so you're putting the award.
I mean, you know, I felt the pandemic. I actually did a pause during the pandemic because I feel like I felt like a bunch of us, I was having a nervous breakdown because, we mostly work in the event space. And, when it happened and all these social distancing rules and restrictions happened, I was like, oh God, like, what are you going to do? And we immediately lost contracts. So for me, I had to go, okay, so we got to like recalibrate, and figure it out. I think more on an emotional level to make sure I could stay the ship through the pandemic.
Yes.
And so that happened, and serendipitously, I knew the filmmaker, and been knowing her for a couple of years, and we just started talking, and I just came on board really as sort of this executive producer advisor, with the film, and I loved it because of the fact that it was really starring a Black woman from New Orleans,
Okay.
who was living this fabulous life in the south of France with her husband. And it's a very alternative, I don't want to get too much away, it's a very alternative film. But I was just struck at the fact that this Black woman had this amazing role to own just herself, this very interesting relationship space. And so that's what got me. And I was just like amazed at how empowered this character was, Birdie. And so that's what really got me really involved in more sort of, I guess, passionate about this film project. And it's just so beautifully done that I feel very blessed to be a part of it. And it kind of took me back to my roots of what I feel I'm put on this earth to do. It's more about storytelling. It's
Yes.
really about, really just bringing to me light different types of stories, and talking about who we are culturally, and talking about, I don't want to say marginalized, because now this whole thing is like, let's tell the Black marginalized narrative. So I'm like, but the narratives also the ones that I know are really about just everyday folk, you know what I mean? That we don't see, on TV, or really on a lot of different
Film.
streaming networks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. And that's the work that we're going to continue to do in that entertainment space too, to tell those kind of stories. So
That's
yeah, I'm
really
excited
cool.
about that.
So was that kind of
Yeah.
like a full circle moment for you, and also at the same time kind of enlivened or brought back a passion of yours that you had kind of
It did. I mean, it did. I recently did a podcast. Well, I guess it was last week, maybe, or 2 weeks ago, with the Blairisms, to really talk about just what inspires me and where I am. And to me, I've always used, creativity. I used to paint as a kid because, I was told I had a learning disability, when
oh,
I was
wow.
like 5 or 6 years old. Like, I kept back when I was 8, 'cause I got hit by a car. I got called the white N word in kindergarten when I
Oh,
go
wow.
into a school. So it's like, I think that these experiences, was just, it allowed me, my creativity allowed me to kind of tell a different narrative to myself, so I could work out, who I was creatively, to really just push me along. It's like building blocks, and it really pushed me along. And I always felt I was destined to be this amazing visual artist.
Right.
And then
But you thought you were going to be painting, right? You thought you were going to be.
I did, but I also knew that for me, being part of a funeral home family from New Orleans, and being a part of that community, and watching my dad, my grandfather work in that space, and knowing the healing that my family was able to bring to the community, not just through the funeral business, but also to be that connection to, whether it's the civil rights, leaders, or whether
Yes.
it was the church, or whether it was to senior citizens to host their, gatherings, or whether you had a christening that you had to host at the funeral home, or whether I was in the prom, I need a car. Like, it's always connections to the community. So there's
Yes.
always been something inside of me that was about, let's continue to kind of be connected, and figure out a way to me how to use just my gifts and use my creativity in a way that was enterprising, so that it was inside of me, and it popped out. And then I learned as an adult I had ADHD. And so, that's something too. I was like, oh, wow. And so I think for me, I was creating space for myself along my adulthood, in my life, even throughout my teenage years. I was always creating a space that was more about, I had to make life work for me, because I didn't learn the same way other kids learn. I was very visual. So
Okay.
that's why film has always been something I'm very deeply inspired by, because I'm always amazed how you watch something I mean, just like Eve's bio is an example of just an amazing,
Beautiful.
well-told, well-written, well-directed story, right? That tells an incredible story of a Black family that we all can identify with, that we didn't see. And the emotions that you think about what film actually creates for us, any TV show that we're so, enthralled in or whatever, that we like have to watch it, or we like binge watching it on Netflix, whatever. But it's like, this is what to me is the fabric of just how we live our lives. It's the
Mhm.
fabric of, just telling our stories. And for me, I have to figure out a way to do that because there's always a part of me, and figure out a way to make money at it.
Yeah, that's
So
the key. How do you
yeah.
make that an enterprise? Now you jumped the shark because I was going to take you back to your childhood, but you did it. And
Oh,
you,
sorry.
no,
Go
that's
ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
No, you did it beautifully. So I didn't want to interrupt you, but I want to definitely tell the audience that, we're both from New Orleans and I'm
Right.
very familiar with your family's business, Charbonnet Funeral Services. It is a cornerstone of the African American community in New Orleans, Louisiana. Majority of my family and extended family and friends and my neighbors were funeralized as Charbonnet services. I mean, it's
Okay.
huge and it's a cornerstone, a stone of our community. So I wanted to definitely tell them that. But I also wanted to ask you because funerals in the African American community, they are productions and
Yes.
they are, no, they are like
They
we're
are.
we are good at it. It is theatrical. It is a storytelling experience.
It
There's a
is.
narrative. There's probably going to be an
Always a narrative.
arc.
Right, right. No, I mean, you're right. And it's like the climax. Like, it's like
There's
everybody's
a
just
climax.
it's
Yes.
it's the reveal. It's like,
Oh
what
my God.
happens. It's like everybody's waiting to see, kind of like in some cases, like what happens next, or it is a production. I mean, it's like
It is,
I
it is
want to say,
in New Orleans, it's white glove level, honey. It is like the chic is a
yeah,
chic. Um, and we have a musical element that's added to New Orleans. Majority of some of New Orleans funerals, if you're prominent, there's probably going to be some type of musical procession that's
right.
incorporated. So it's a full production. So I can understand why you're in production today because you got it honest, honey. You didn't steal it.
No, no, and I think I got that from my uncle. I think that I watched him, and I was always amazed at just his creativity, and how, and my dad too, and how they did business. I mean, my uncle also introduced body staging, which was written up in the New York Times, which
Oh
is,
my gosh.
you know,
Tell us what body
Uncle,
it is.
like
Like,
what Uncle Lionel, just look him up. Uncle Lionel's funeral, from New Orleans. I mean, he was a musician, that used to just, he was, I don't know how old was he, 80 years old,
he
latter
up
80s,
there. He might have
just
been in
walking,
his
yeah, just walking the street with his cane, for going from bar to bar playing music, so, and, my uncle decided to stand him up, and involve him standing up. And so that was like a big thing. And it was covered
icon.
by a lot of media outlets.
Yes,
And
I do
yeah,
remember.
it was interesting. It was, it was
Iconic.
interesting.
So listen, Gina, you had to do this. You had to make, you had to produce films for Black people because listen, that's your family legacy. Is to tell our story.
Well, it is, and I do feel like too, being immersed in sort of that culture. I remember when I was like 7 years old, we had Oxford our own second line, through Treme, because we are in the corner of North Claiborne and St. Phil. For those that don't know, that's the heart of Treme right there. And during Mardi Gras, it's where everybody comes to experience Black Mardi Gras. It's where the Indians meet up. Mardi Gras days, so the baby dolls get started in that Treme neighborhood, and they walk, throughout the neighborhood. But we used to stage our own second lines, on Mardi Gras day with the funeral home's ambulance. We thought it was just really hilarious, and so not hilarious, but look back on it, and I'm very grateful for the experiences because they really did embed in me a certain pride about who we are as Black people. And I always say, no matter who I talk to or what's going on, I said, South is really the fabric of Black culture,
Yes.
because the South is everybody, of course, slavery was slavery, and everybody migrated different. The West Coast, even, I mean, migrated to the Great Migration to the North, the Midwest, and also Canada. But it's like it still is the epitome to me of Black culture.
Oh,
And it
absolutely.
really is that kind of the things that we're taught culturally is something that you don't experience in other areas of the United States. So it's a very unique experience you have coming from New Orleans. I think in really experiencing the culture, of our grandparents, the way, you cook, you think about, even the seasonings we use, right? It was all taught to us through generations,
Yes.
and it's something that we have to continue to cherish. And that's
Hands
something
down.
that,
Yes.
that's what I think, as I continue to do my work, and I kind of right now, so I think I have this duality. It's like a Gemini. I know we're going to Gemini season, right? But I feel like this Gemini, that I'm like, this duality is constantly going on, where it's like, Gina, you got to tell the story. You have to also, because it's a community, and it's about how do we figure out new stories, and how do I, do this in a way. I mean, I don't have the bandwidth like, a big Tyler Perry, and hopefully one day that'll happen. But it's like, for me, it's really about how do we tell these stories in a way that gets the stories noticed, but do it in a way it's almost like you do it on a grassroots kind of underground level.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what keeps the story sort of raw. It keeps it, very intriguing, and hopefully, knock on something. It's not, wood is right here, but knock on wood that, we I will continue to keep doing that, and keep finding different ways, to tell our stories. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about in the future. So that
There's so
connects back
many,
to my storytelling roots too. Yes.
there's so many rich stories in New Orleans or in Louisiana in general. And raising a daughter in Texas, but often bringing her home and having to explain to her nuances of things that she didn't understand because it wasn't a part of her life in Texas. So I remember one time when she declared that she was vegan. She was vegan for about 2 years, and yeah,
Okay.
it was a crazy time for the Davis household. So we went home. We went home and visited my mom and my sister, and they're in Baton Rouge. And my mom and my sister sat down to teach us how to make crawfish bisque. So mind you,
Ooh, that's so good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a process too. That's a process.
it's oh my God, it's so much effort for it's a great payoff, but oh my gosh, the process is quite
Yeah.
intense. So just imagine three generations sitting around a table and my mom telling
Mm,
stories, and we're all of our hands are in the pots together, and we're just molding the crawfish bisque and
right.
having conversations and telling generational stories. My daughter
Mhm.
didn't eat the ending product because she was a vegan, bad on her. But it was that whole process of preparing the food, teaching stories, passing down traditions. That's a story. That's a movie right there. I mean, that
It
whole
is.
conversation.
It is. It's a docu series, absolutely. Because I just feel like that's the food is such an important part of us.
Yes,
That intrigues a lot of people, but I also think the way that we cook,
the way we prepare it.
it's the seasoning, and that crawfish bisque. You got stuff. You gotta go ahead and peel the crawfish. Then you gotta make the bisque and stuff the shell again. Like
Yes,
that
it's
could
a
take
lot of
all
work.
day. Yeah,
It's a
I
whole
mean,
process. But
and
can
you
you
don't.
imagine how many stories are
Yeah,
relayed during that time in the kitchen?
yeah,
Like
it's a
we
beautiful
learned so
thing.
much from my mom through
Mhm.
that time that she got to spend with her granddaughter, right? Around the table telling stories.
Yeah, that's
Beautiful.
amazing. That's what I'm saying. It's just like that's what I'm talking about. Like those kind of things, I think really, those kind of personal anecdote stories to me is what's going to continue to tell our history. Because being in New Orleans it's an interesting space. Like I live between there and New York. I'm in New York right now, but in New
Okay.
Orleans, it's like I keep seeing the culture kind of getting diluted, and so I'm hoping that a part of also what we continue to do is really kind of through art or through whatever continue to tell these stories and continue to figure out a way to keep the culture our black culture alive,
Yes.
because it's everyone's there to absorb it like a sponge, but not everybody's about the preservation, right,
Of
of the
that. That's true.
stories. So yeah, so your daughter and her daughter and your daughter's daughter's daughter can continue to tell that. So again, hoping that it's going to be the stars that we can continue to do this. I think the work is important, and I do think the work that we're doing not only through film, but even with Prospect, the client that I'm working with now, Prospect New Orleans. Not a lot of people know about this. It's a event they hold. It's an arts exhibit they do across the city every 3 years.
Okay.
And through this event, they engage artists of color, and the artists of color actually create these exhibits. They do exhibits all through the city, and they also sell that work. And so again, it's sort of another layer of telling, the stories of Black artists, and also telling the stories of our time right now, and what's going on, I think, around social justice and racial reckoning. And so this event that I'm working on with them is really about branding and helping them sort of brand this gala event that they do every 3 years, and acquisitioning talent for them, and just sort of curating this event that it is representation of the organization, the city, and also the artists they support. So that's the kind of stuff that, in addition to Essence. So it's like, these projects that we're doing, they all may be different.
Yes.
But they all have that it's, I call it, why I said I empower her full, power her entertainment. That's what I always say. Or power her mints, and power her full. But to me, it's like, the stories that or projects that I work on are really about how can we continue to build awareness and consciousness through projects, whether it's film, television, art, whatever it is. The clients that we will continue to work with, we will continue to tell these stories, and also continue to tell these stories through the lens of women of color too, as much as I can. And that's kind of projects that, again, that we're continuing to work on. I know we just launched the website last month officially, because this has been a work in progress over COVID.
Oh my gosh.
I'm laughing because it's like, the website is sort of a big leap of faith for GeChar as we talk about, what we're working on. In addition to clients and projects, it's really about helping other people actualize their dreams. So yeah, so as of like today, the coaching and consultation page has been updated. I'm really happy I can finally announce the 90-day jumpstart program that I'll be coaching myself with about maybe 5 or 6 clients. That's it, to really work with them over a 90-day period with me. And let's talk about establishing practices every day that can, just enhance your life. Let's talk about tapping into your joy. Let's talk about taking a leap of faith. Let's talk about also being responsible for your own happiness, and what does that look like? So it's those kind of things. Let's make a dream a reality. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to start dating again, as simple as that. Let's talk about how to do that. Bring some joy into your life, right?
Right.
So that's what we're going to be talking about in a 90-day jumpstart. It's really just again a 9-week program to really just help. Let's talk about, again, just incorporating some daily things into your life that'll help you become more grounded. And this is the things that I know I did over COVID.
I love that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it flipped the switch for me, so it works.
Okay. No, I mean, that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And you talked about, well, I talked about in introducing you, that you are really a live entertainment kind of maven. That is really how you've made a big impact on the arts and entertainment industry, but in the live production market. How do you see going forward? Can you predict what live is going to look like post-pandemic? If you had to look forward to 2022, are we going to do more hybrid, or are people going to jump right back into 100% live?
Well, New Orleans is jumping right back into live, and
really,
it's like the festival schedule is crazy, so they're going right back into live.
October is like reintroduction.
Yeah, September, October, right? Late September. But and for me, I have a client I'm working with that actually, they're talking more of a hybrid model, because in some instances you have cases where you might do a convention, you may do a quarterly convention or annual convention. But I think what happened over COVID, which is really exciting, is that you figured out that you don't have to just cater to everybody who's going to be in front of you, cater to everybody online. So it actually creates another revenue stream. for companies who want to do conventions or live events, whatever it is. Now you can tap into that on-demand audience, that live audience, to also make revenue, right? So I think it's a matter of, it's probably to me going to be a combination of two. I think it depends on the type of a live event you're talking about. If you're talking about music, I think music is going to have to go back to me being in person, because
yeah.
That's an experience with music. Like, you're going there to get your groove on, and so yeah, it's okay. I mean, Versus was good. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, you definitely want to go back and feel. You want to get up and dance. I mean, that's
Right.
what I'm thinking live music's about, right? And you have the connection with the artist. I mean, because also it's connected with the artist's story again. So I think that live music is going to probably go back to full capacity in some regard. I think when we get to 2022, the thing is, it's going to be tricky. I think the vaccine thing. I think until we go to a digital platform, an app that some company is going to produce, that'll say you can flash your phone, say I have this, I'm vaccinated.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting thing, because I think now, I think like certain baseball games, and now you have a section of basketball. You have a section for vaccinated and a section for unvaccinated. I'm like, yeah, so I don't understand how that. We're going to have to figure all this stuff out. I know it's just like everybody's rolling the dice and see, or throwing an egg against the wall, see what sticks. So we have to just figure it out, right? But as far as in like the speaking heads, the talking heads, let's talk about conversations. That, I think that market could definitely continue as a hybrid market, because of the fact that you can still use Zoom or different platforms to actually stream in while people are talking. And I think Zoom proved that we do get a lot out of connecting with each other digitally online, right? And in Zoom you could do the reactions, you could actually, hit somebody up,
Chat.
different platforms. Yeah, I mean, so I think, as far as the talking point, I think that may continue the hybrid model. But I also think what 2020 and part of 2021 got everybody excited about too is now, you could create an experience for anybody right where they are. I mean, there's all these packages and boxes that, sponsors now send out to people who are attending different events. So I think now you can kind of tailor events more specifically to meet certain needs. And I do think that you're going to see more pop-up experiences happening. I do think that that's going to be sort of this element of like surprise, and this element of what kind of experience can you create in a pop-up event versus just a straight ahead, festival, or straight ahead sort of music, sort of model. So I think it's exciting, and there's a lot of different possibilities, as you can see. But I'm excited that we can actually go back and listen to music. I can listen to Mary J. Blige and actually get up and dance and do what I was used to doing, not by myself, but for the audience.
Live music is community. It really is, because you learn the latest dances, you learn the latest bops. They introduce music, you get the vibe from the audience, so you kind of take home from just being in a room with everybody else.
Right. So I agree. It is community. So I'm looking forward to sharing or being a part of that community, again. So that's exciting.
Cool. So now you have to tell us what is up for GeChar. I think the 90-day jumpstart is incredible. I can think of so many amazing applications for that, and that has legs too. Like, I mean, as much as people are excited for the vaccine, I think that we're going to be in this hybrid world for a while. I think we're going to have a lot of starts and stops, unfortunately. So I like that 90-day jumpstart, experience. That's something I think that you can, definitely reintroduce and do over and over and over.
Yeah, and I do think that people, now that we've kind of gotten our head, we've taken our head, out of the hole in the ground, and I think we feel some optimism, and we feel, just we have a different awareness about who we are. I hope that COVID for many of us, and I mean, I'm sure it has our life experiences resonate with us differently now.
Yes,
I do think the 90-day jumpstart coaching program that I created is really about, let's talk about sustaining this. So sustaining this feeling of optimism, sustaining this feeling of joy. I mean, sustaining the feeling of, I'm more connected to people, and I definitely, am just elated about being emotionally connected again. And what does that look like? I feel like we just woke up and, and for those of us that have survived COVID, we're very blessed to be here. I mean, beginning of COVID, so many Black lives were lost.
Yes.
It wasn't just, yeah, it was COVID, but then it was like Black men got hit really hard in the very beginning. Black women, we've lost jobs, we've lost our footprint in corporate America. It's shrunk. It's
Yes.
like we lost 10 years, right, on this corporate footprint that we had. So it's like, it's going to take us a minute, to really rebuild. And on top of the racial reckoning that has to continue to happen on a political sort of like policy level. It's great that Derek Chauvin went to jail, but this is just the beginning. We have to continue to heal.
Yes.
Continue to heal. Like, what does that really mean? And it's like, for me, I take healing so personal because I have to heal myself and not getting caught up in what I lost, during COVID. To me, it's more of a gain. Like, I'm so blessed and grateful to be here talking to you and talking more about the work that we're doing, and that I can still talk about. We're still working. We still have clients. I'm still working on working on an entertainment project right now. I'm writing a project right now. And then I'm also have the clients that I really want to work with. I really want to work with people and say, okay, let's talk about living a mindful, intentful, actualized life, because we're put on earth not to have our heaven when we die. We're put on earth to live our heaven and to really achieve as much as we're put on this earth to do. I think everybody has their own lane, their own destiny. There's no need for us to be jealous of everybody, of each other. It's none of that. Like, we got to get back to really just tapping in to what truly makes us happy. Yes. On an everyday level, and that's being more engaged, I think, with just our communities, our families, our husbands, our wives.
Yes.
Whoever it is, our loved ones. We need to really be more engaged. We have to sort of like, turn the knob on our emotional intelligence, I think, in order for us to start really sustaining us in a different space, because I think it is going to be off and on. I think COVID was just like this caution sign, right? This yellow sign, right? I mean, who knows what's going to come? I mean, let's just pray that the people continue to get vaccinated and we get to herd immunity, that we all can live with some sort of, hope that things will be different. But I do think it's going to be off and on, and these pauses, we have to be able to manage these pauses.
Yes.
And that's the thing that, as we develop, and it's called Empower Living a Life You Love Coaching. So it's called Ellie Coaching, the program overall. But the 9-day Jumpstart is the first coaching program we're introducing. And so, we do hope with this coaching program, I'll be able to give people, to me, the joy and happiness that I know I had to really work hard to just sustain. It's like I'm an example of it. So that's why I feel it really works. And then we also are offering a consultation service too, where people, pay a set fee of $350, and I'll give them the phone. We'll talk about your business. We'll talk about branding, and we'll talk about if you have something you want to create in a programming entertainment space. We can consult about that too. So it's just diversifying where we are, and really, just really putting ourselves out there. So, the work that we've done for the Essence Festival, the work that we've done for different clients, the Black Girls Rock, the Watermark, the Prospect, all these different people, we're going to do this and package it so we can give it directly to the client now. So that's really exciting. So I'm excited about that work and what GeChar, is really evolving into, which is community. And let's talk about collectively how to share. I'm going to introduce products and, so I'm excited about what's to come. So
I'll definitely put a link to your new website in the show notes so people can find out more information about your 90-day Jumpstart and your consulting services, because I may be in a Jumpstart with you, honey.
Listen, I'm here. I'm just like, I feel like, like I said, I'm so grounded. I'm so blessed, and I'm so grateful. Like I said, just to be here and just to still smile, because I mean, so much was taken from us.
Yes, it was a
process.
2020, and it seemed like it came in waves. one of the things that I want to hold on to from the pandemic, I'm gonna share with you from when we were on the most extreme lockdown. I felt like I was given an opportunity to really rethink my life path and try to design what my life is going to be after pandemic was over. I felt like it was like the hardest reset that I could have ever asked for. And it really caused me to have conversations with my family, with my husband, with my daughter. And we talked about, you know, what about our life before COVID we want to keep? And what do we want to do differently? What wasn't serving us? Because I think
Yeah, I love that.
going so hard. Like you know, I was going so hard, traveling, events, and back and forth and back. You never really had a chance to decompress and think about what's working for me, what's serving me, and what's not serving me anymore. So I want to hold on to that spirit when the world opens up again, to really constantly reevaluate what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I really do hope that and I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's so amazing that you're that evolved. And I just hope that, you know, the thing is that I always say some people, it's really about developing your capacity, right? About developing your emotional intelligence and so for me it's like, let's build capacity, let's build together, and let's figure out a road that works for you. Because like I said, I know for me, I did the lockdown. I like meditated. I took a pause from work, period. Like I didn't, everybody like, what live events did you attend? I said, I didn't attend
Nothing.
I
Yeah.
didn't attend live. I said, for me, I started writing. I took a course on, you know, on how to write TV scripts. Like I was like meditating every day. I started eating better. I stopped drinking, like all this stuff. Like I just, you know, for me, I'm like, I had to really I made some hardcore turns, you know, instead of like doing, like you said, some of us just automatically go back to these habits that we feel have supported us, but they don't really support us. Like a lot of women are alcoholics now. Like it's
Yeah, it was,
there's stats, there's statistics, there's data, right?
you know,
That say
I mean,
women, yeah, I mean, and
like
believe me,
delivering alcohol to your home. It was crazy towns.
yeah, I mean, and women are sitting here drinking and like going, and believe me, I'm all about I love having an amazing cocktail, good glass of wine. But I also know that for me, if I chose that route, I'd have been deep down depression, and I couldn't pull myself out of it, because I think that I was already like, oh, okay, I'm used to having a cocktail. I need to feel better. So you start these habits you have to really make yourself feel better actually is counterproductive, because it'll just keep you down. And I'm like, I need to be up. So for me, it's like, okay, you need to level up. You know, I tell my therapist all the time, I became Gina 5.0. I became, you know, GeChar, you know, I don't know, like 2025. Like I was just like, I created
Love it.
I've created like the space I want to reside in for the rest of my life. I visualized it. You know, for me, meditation, you know, is really about visualizing the life that you want. And for me, that's what I'm hoping also to establish with people. Let's talk about using meditation as a tool, because meditation it calms you down, absolutely. But for me, visually, I create a different world, and
Okay,
you
so
know
I've
that world is,
heard of meditation explained that way. That sounds incredible. I've never heard of it put that way.
yeah, it's a
That
meditation
meditation
tool for me.
is visualizing the life you want. I've never heard that before.
It is absolutely, because I feel like, you know, you talk about vision board, you talk about, let's cut these things out and do all these things, but I'm like, what if every day, you know, you figured out, if you take a 5 or 10 minute pause and you really think about and really feel viscerally like what you really want in this life. If you were to feel that every day, I guarantee you life would change, because it's almost like a Peter Pan syndrome. You start believing, and you really have to, like, that's what it's going to take to really change some things around, you know. And I do think that we get stuck in sort of this judgment zone. I wrote about it, you know, I have a journal section that I'm very candid about what I've been through, and asking myself certain questions. Like, to me, it's like we get caught in a space, especially women, of judging ourselves, like we're not supposed to be doing this, and what
Mm-hmm.
if this person says that, or, you know, I'm too old for this, or, you know, I gotta do is appropriate. I'm like, what is that? We hold ourselves back so much that
Yes.
I'm like, let's not do that. Let's like flip it and go, you know what? I deserve this, and I'm gonna start doing things differently. And you also, there's also this generational comparison that we do in our heads, right? We think about, oh, our parents did this, our parents did that, and our parents that very, I mean, our parents were loving and set amazing examples. But I also think we cannot judge our present by what happened in the past. We have to also choose differently. You got to choose to want money. It's okay to have money. Like I want to have a comfortable life. I want to have freedom, right? I
Yeah,
want to retire in Portugal somewhere, or in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? So
that's
listen,
amazing.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like that's the kind of things that the coaching program, that's the kind of things that we're going to work on, it weekly. What does that look like? And to use these tools to really help again sort of sustain where you are. We can get to a place that's all bubbly and like, okay, this is great, but I'm like, how do you sustain
For the long
yourself so
term.
that that joy, that you're like humming at that joy and happiness level, and that things that happen like stressful events like COVID don't throw you
Oh,
off
yes, throw
completely,
you into a
and
loop. Yes.
and you get anxious. I mean, I had this, like I said, for me it was this anxious. I'm like, I can't feel anxious. Like I can't tap into that, because if I tap into it, that means that I'm gonna be thrown off my game, and I can't have that because I have to keep myself afloat. You know what I mean? So it just, I really just want to work with people, and let's figure out a way again to sustain, deal with anxious feelings, and let's talk about why you have them. I'm not a therapist. Listen, I'm not a psychiatrist, not any of these things. For me, it's more about, I just believe you have to visualize the life you want. Like I said, it's meditation. I've done the work. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
you know,
But
and it works. So,
the way you're describing meditation is different from the way it was told to me. I was always told that when you meditate, you're supposed to wipe your brain of any thoughts. Like you're
right.
not supposed to think
I
anything.
know.
And if you start thinking of something, you got to bring your brain back to not thinking. And I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm too creative. I can't do that.
Let me tell you, that's what people say, but I think that we all meditate differently. And for
No, I
me,
like your version. I like your. I could do what you're doing.
I just like for me, meditation. I talk to my ancestors. To me, I'm like, okay, I know I'm here, this purpose. I definitely am here because of you. But I get messages. Like I think, in my friends and my family, they meditate, and it's like it is about sitting still. I think there are those times you need to sit still. You just need to kind of just, just reconnect. I think it is about calming your nervous system down in some cases. But for me, my meditation at least 3 times out of the week, out of 7 days, is really about, Gina, let's visualize and continue to visualize the life that you want and things
I
that you
love
want in
that.
your life.
I love
So
that. No, that sounds amazing. So I'm all in. I think it's amazing. It sounds like exactly what we need for this moment in our life, for sure. What else are you excited for? What other creative projects are you producing or executive producing any more films?
well, the film, the film got bought during Sundance, and so we
Oh,
premiered.
congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. So we're going to premiere it at the Angelica in New York, which is a huge honor. I'm still can't believe it.
Oh
On
my
August
God.
20th, and then it goes to theaters, so everybody gets a chance to see it. So I'm excited about that. And like
Yeah.
I said, I'm scripting a TV series that I'm having writer's block. so I'm working through that. So that's gonna come soon. I can't even tell you what it's about. That I fingers crossed. It's come to fruition. It's come to fruition. It's come to
Come to you.
fruition. So
To you. Yeah, it's coming.
it's coming because I've been writing this for a year. It's very personal. So it's like start, stop, start, stop. I'm like, Gina, we gotta finish it.
Okay.
People are waiting on it, so I got to finish it. And two, with the company, because we're turning into community, I'm really excited. We're gonna start selling meditation boxes later on in the fall,
Oh, that's
which are these
awesome.
boxes, yeah, that'll help. I think that just things that have helped me was a meditation, and to help me sort of again sort of visualize who I am, and to also intend my thoughts. And then we're gonna see where it goes. I mean, for me, it's really about GeChar. This whole side of my company is about empowerment in women and just sustaining a certain level. I think that's going to probably turn into maybe a newsletter that'll turn to working with other people. hopefully vendors that kind of do like work, and so we can be sort of like a group for women of color. Why not? Gwyneth Paltrow has group,
Incredible.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, why can't we do that? And so, so that's the ultimate goal. It's baby steps. So, because I feel like, I'm only one person, I only have so much time, my life, that for me, my work is what brings me joy, but I also want to have a dating life. And I also want to have, I want to be able to travel. I want to spend time with my friends. Like I have to, for me, the balance is very important. And so, but there's more to come. So it's going to be an evolution. It's an evolution, and it's always turning. It's always something's new. So it's a gradual step-by-step process that we're doing. So we just launched a website, I think it was late March, early April. So now, like I said, the coaching programs just got put online, and we're just getting things set up. So it's a process, but and two, being on social media, everybody's like, we need more personal things from you. I'm like, yeah, but my company's evolving, so it's like touch and go with that, because I'm also kind of shy about who I am sometimes personally. But I know
you've been getting out on social a little bit more. I've been watching you.
I'm a little more, but for me, it's more like I'm really just impassioned and just about writing the journal entries more and writing more, and that side is growing. And I do want to show me on an everyday basis, but like I said, I'm a little shy. Like, I don't want to see me. Sometimes I don't have good days and the hair is not down, so I have baseball caps on and whatever. So hopefully they'll see that side of me too. I'm I definitely am tied to the laptop and going, and writing wherever I can write. So, but yeah, so more to come. To be continued, as as my tattoo is a semicolon, to be continued.
It's coming.
That's right. To be continued.
So, last question I need to ask. I know everyone who's watching is waiting for this information that hopefully you can drop on us today. Is Essence coming back in 2021? Music festival.
You know what? It's going to be a virtual festival again, from what I understand. So probably along the lines that was produced last year. Okay. Probably with panels and stuff like that. So that's what I know so far. And let's all just send good vibes and put it out there that 2022 is when it's going to be back live and in person. Let's all look toward that.
Let's send great vaccination vibes out to everybody. Right. Yes.
Right. Everybody get vaccinated, please. So we can just get back to that. And so I do think that's something to look forward to in 2022, especially for the city and what it does for the city, and this is what it does for people. I think that it's Essence has created such a powerful tool. I think that they've set a precedent with other events that it's about Black excellence, and it's always about the purpose behind the party. As Susan Taylor, was one of her main goals with when they created the Essence Festival, was more about you have to have use the opportunity as a way to also educate and talk about issues that are important to the community and to the readers and the followers. And so, let's send prayers up and emails to editors and all stuff to get it back, online. I think it's gonna be back. Absolutely.
I think 2022 is a better opportunity.
Yeah, because I do think, like I said, the city of New Orleans, according to the festival schedule, like late September to October, it's like, I don't know, it's a bunch of events.
Yes,
an event or something that's taking place. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to step a foot in New Orleans between.
No. And until Thanksgiving, and maybe Bayou Classic. I don't know.
It's gonna be packed.
It is on and popping like every 2 weeks or every week. I'm like, wow. So it'll be cool. You gotta come back and visit. You gotta come back and visit.
Well, I do have, my daughter is attending Loyola. She's a senior in high school.
Oh, okay.
But every Davis in Louisiana is full of joy that she's coming home. So she'll be back in the city. So we'll be back in the city. So that's exciting.
Awesome. My niece graduating communications from Loyola. So yeah, it's an amazing university. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Thank you so much, Gina Charbonnet. Again, this is one interview that I was so looking forward to, because you're an icon in the event and live entertainment space. And
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
oh, this was just all joy for me.
Oh, thank you. And I felt the joy. So I'm like, oh, it's like a warm hug. I'm like, yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You can find all of our past episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and Google, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Thank you for listening.